Good morning, or depending when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and I was always told I had a voice for radio, so today I am showing you Palisand GX. And I know what you might be thinking, ladies and gentlemen. Hang on a second. Haven't we already looked at Palisand GX? And the short answer is yes, we have. That video is available. Please feel free to check it out. I will link that description in the comment section, or in the description. I'll link the video in the description, you know what I mean. However, the longer answer is, that video doesn't really count much anymore. And the reason is, it's almost a year old. It's over 11 months since this card got revealed. Now, generally speaking, card gets revealed, Wassy does a video. Within 2 or 3 months, it gets released over here into the metagame we're expecting. And then I do videos about tournament results and deck lists, etc. And I give my updated thoughts on cards in those videos, and any cards that don't get mentioned in those videos aren't really worth worrying about. The problem is, Palisand GX, it's been so long since it was revealed and released over in Japan that the previous video isn't really relevant anymore because the metagame is so different to what it was back when it came out, and it's so different I feel compelled to give you an updated version of the Palisand video, because otherwise all I can give you is a video of me analysing a card in a completely different metagame, which I don't think is all that useful. Now, I should mention the translation comes from David Hockman here, over at LimitlessTCG.com. We're not expecting any great changes. It's a fairly straightforward card, translation-wise at least. So it is a fighting Pokemon. Fighting is good. You're hitting Zoroark for weakness. You can use Diancie Prism Star to do an extra 20 damage to your opponent's active Pokemon. By the time this comes out in Celestial Storm, we will still have basically Worlds. We'll have a couple of weeks where you can still use stuff like Strong Energy. Don't rely too heavily on it, but at least we're going to have Diancie Prism Star after rotation. And of course, we're going to have Brooklet Hill at this stage, which is rather handy because it's going to mean you can go and search out your basics much more easily. It is week 2 grass, which is actually pretty good right now. We don't have many good grass. Pokemon Golisopod's still seeing a fair bit of play, and I live in Hoop the Tapu Bulu will come back round again. But as it is, it's a pretty good weakness to have. And the retreat cost sucks, because we're not going to have Heavy Ball anymore, and we're not going to have Floatstone anymore. So the retreat cost, whereas it might not have been a year ago, becomes a fairly large issue. As for the 210 HP, it's pretty much what we would expect. I mean, it's 10 more than Lycanroc GX, so that's good. And let's face it, right, on the one hand, we're already playing fighting decks like Buzzwole Lycanroc, so we can fit other fighting Pokemon into those decks. But on the other hand, we're already playing fighting decks like Buzzwole Lycanroc, so any other fighting Pokemon that want to get involved here are going to have to give us a reason to play them over stuff like Buzzwole and Lycanroc. So the first attack here for a fighting double colourless energy, 60 damage plus confusion. Good news, you can use double colourless energy here. Bad news, it's a 2 energy attack on a stage 1. Now, you can use counter gain here if you're behind on prizes. Then the attack cost becomes a fighting and a colourless, but that doesn't really help. You're a GX, so you can't use counter energy even if you're behind on prizes. So it's not all that and a bag of potato chips. Confusion is quite nice, but when you consider that something like Espeon GX does 30 in confusion for just a psychic energy, you realise that it's just not as good as it might be under other circumstances, which kind of sucks, but there's nothing we can do about it. The thing that would irk me is that it's awkward to get a KO on Zoroark, but thank goodness for Diancie Prism Star. You had a choice band, you're doing 90, double with weakness, 180. That's not enough. But with a choice band Diancie Prism Star, you're doing 110, and you are getting a one-hit KO. That's very, very nice. Diancie Prism Star really helps getting that one-hit KO on Zoroark. And with your 210 HP here, you can take a hit from a lot of stuff. That is awesome. So against Zoroark, this is pretty good. But is it better than Boswell or Lycanroc? I mean, arguably not. Good news is it gives you a chance against anything, because Confusion, alright, they can retreat out of it, alright, they can flip a coin and maybe they'll hit heads and then they can attack through Confusion. But regardless, it still gives you a chance against anything because of the whole, you're still confusing them, they might not be able to attack you here. Second attack, fighting double colourless, 100 damage, heal 20. I'm going to be honest with you, ladies and gentlemen, I find it awkward to be able to recommend this attack. It's too expensive. Healing 20 is fine, but it's really not that great. It's less than a potion. And 100 for 4 energy sucks. I mean, you won't even get a one-hit kill on a Zoroark unless you use something like a Diancie Prism Star. I don't think it's good. It's way too much energy, it's way too underpowered, and you do not heal enough. Sorry, it's not good enough. But first time we looked at this, the GX attack was the star. I think that's still the case. This first attack is a nice attack, because it one-hit KOs Zoroark and it can disrupt a bunch of other stuff. But it's still the GX attack that rocks. Now, it's got the same fighting double colourless cost, which is not ideal. But what you do is you look at the top 13 cards of your opponent's deck, almost a quarter of their deck. 15 would be exactly a quarter, this is close. You can discard as many Pokemon you find there as you like, and you do 60 damage for each card discarded in this way. Your opponent shuffles the rest of the cards back into their deck. Now, there are two things that are really good about this attack. Number one, you're probably going to get a one-hit KO here. I mean, if you can hit 3 Pokemon, you're doing 180. With a Choice Band, that's 210. That's a KO on most things. With a Diancie Prism Star, you're now up to 230. And even something like Gardevoir GX or Greninja GX will be going down to that attack. To be perfectly blunt, you should be pretty good here. But the other great thing here is just the potential. So let's say you're against a Gardevoir deck and you hit this, you might end up hitting all 3 of their remaining Gardevoir. Against Greninja, you might be able to hit 2 Frogadier and 2 Greninja. So not only are you getting a big one-hit KO, but you're actually taking out a lot of their Pokemon at the same time. Now, don't get me wrong, it's not like those Pokemon go to the Lost Zone. We're still going to have Rescue Stretcher post-rotation. Most people are probably going to be playing Rescue Stretcher post-rotation. They can get them back. But you know what? They've still got to do that. And it's not just Rescue Stretcher. First, they've got to draw the Rescue Stretcher. Then they've got to find the Pokemon after putting them back into their deck. So that Gardevoir player can get all 3 of those Gardevoir back again, but maybe not for a few turns, during which you're hitting 100, or you're hitting 60 plus Confusion, or you're bringing up another attacker like Buzzwole. I adore this GX attack. Yeah, it's pretty expensive. And yes, it gets progressively worse as the game goes on, because if your opponent uses a Bridget, again, briefly before rotation, then that's 3 Pokemon that won't be in their deck. That's 3 fewer chances to hit those Pokemon. But you should hit enough here most of the time, and then you're going to be in this brilliant position where you're taking huge KOs while also getting rid of all of their Pokemon, and at that stage your opponent is really going to be struggling to do much. Now, we really want to hit 3 out of 13, so essentially if 1 in 4 cards in their deck is Pokemon, i.e. if they're playing 15 Pokemon, we should feel pretty good about getting a KO here. And if we look at top decks at the moment, they're generally playing about 15 to 20 Pokemon. That's not to say they're all playing over 15, and that's not to say none of them are playing over 20. That is just to say that on average, they're playing about 15 to 20 Pokemon. So you should be expecting to get KOs here, while getting rid of all of their Pokemon. And like I've said, by the time they get those Pokemon back, there is a very, very good chance it's gonna be too late. I still adore this GX attack. I still don't like the middle attack. This doesn't have quite the, oh my god, it's so much better effect that Alolan Raticate had when we took a second look. But the additions of stuff like Diancie Prism Star, the absolute dominance over the format of Zoroark still make this better than when I looked at it first time round. I still think it's only a free Wossie card. I think it's a card that you might be teching into decks occasionally, but I don't think you're going to be playing it as a deck on its own. But it's one of the most interesting GX attacks we've had so far. It is very much worth a look. But I want to hear from you guys. Do you think it's worth a look? Do you think it's better than it would have been a year ago? Or do you think stuff like Diancie and then Zoroark being really good has changed it all around? Let me know in the comment section. Go nuts. Be nice. Make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter @Awossie, and Twitch for some live action at twitch.tv/PTCG Radio. If you want to support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all of that, head on over to patreon.com/PTCG Radio, where you can do just that. But by far the most important thing, as always, is to look after yourselves until next time. Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.